Hey guys, today's episode with Jack Nicklaus II is fantastic, and it's presented today by Compassion International and their Fill the Stadium initiative. Check out fillthestadium.com and join us in helping to release 70,000 kids and their families from poverty. Check out fillthestadium.com.
This is Sports Spectrum, the intersection of sports and faith, where we bring Jesus back into the conversation. Here's your host, Jason Romano.
And welcome to the show. I am Jason. This is Sports Spectrum, our website, sportspectrum.com. Make sure you check that out for all of our content, articles, podcasts, devotionals, and my email address if you want to reach me directly, jason@sportspectrum.com. And one of the things that I'm signed up for that you guys need to sign up for is our Sports Spectrum weekly newsletter. You can check that out as well at sportspectrum.com. There's a newsletter icon right at the top of the webpage. You click that, you put in your name and your email address, and you're signed up for free for our weekly newsletter where we just send you information, stories, what you may have missed, our podcast, devotionals. It's all there, even the magazine with our newsletter, and it's for free at sportspectrum.com to sign up. But we also have a free gift for you, a 10-day devotional written by professional athletes, a 10-day Sports Spectrum devotional that you get as a free download to your email that you can go through with a team or read through yourself. 10 days written by professional athletes and their stories of Jesus in their lives. It's for free for you at sportspectrum.com when you sign up for our newsletter, and you can do that for free right now at the website, sportspectrum.com. I'm really excited about our guest today, Jack Nicklaus II, the eldest son of Jack Nicklaus. That's right, the legendary Jack Nicklaus. His son, Jack Nicklaus II, he's known as Jackie, joins us here today on the show. He's got a book called Best Seat in the House, 18 Golden Lessons from a Father to His Son. It released May 18th. It's available now, and I'm telling you, it's the perfect Father's Day gift. The best seat in the house as Jack Nicklaus II honors his dad and shares all of these life lessons that he learned, including lessons of faith that we talk about here on the show. Jackie also has incredible stories of just growing up the son of one of the great golfers of all time and playing golf with presidents, hanging out with guys like Michael Jordan and Lawrence Taylor when he's in college, because Jackie was a pretty decorated golfer himself in college, member of the UNC golf team, and he was in college at the same time as Michael Jordan and Lawrence Taylor were in college doing their thing and going on to be GOATs in their own respective sports. And his dad, of course, Jack Nicklaus, the second's dad, Jack Nicklaus, is one of the GOATs of all time in the world of golf. Lots of fun here, great stories. I think you'll love this conversation. Perfect for Father's Day. Jack Nicklaus II, Jackie, joins us here today on Sports Spectrum. Jackie, welcome to Sports Spectrum. How are you, sir?
Jason, I'm really happy to be on board. Thanks for having me.
Congratulations on the new book. It's pretty cool to be an author, isn't it?
It really is. I've been, my own little private author writing notes for the last 30 years, and it's kind of fun to kind of finally put it into formality. And you're actually holding the book.
I am.
I'm anxious to hold the book myself.
It's coming. You're going to get the whole one, I promise you. But it's exciting. I'm excited for this book. I've kind of skimmed through it for our conversation and look forward to diving into it even more. And you wrote it with Don Yeager, who's New York Times bestselling author 11 times. So you got the right guy alongside with you to put these memories into a book. It's a really fascinating book. And with it being Father's Day just coming up around the corner, this is a perfect gift. And we're going to talk a lot about best seat in the house in a little bit. But I thought it'd be good to start with growing up, which is, I'm always fascinated when I talk to people about their earliest memories we have as kids. I think about my childhood and being 4 or 5 or 6 years old and having some memories that come to mind. What's the earliest memory that comes to mind for you when you think about your time as a kid, maybe with your dad and with your family?
Oh, gosh. It's the only grow-up time I ever had. I mean, everyone, asks, hey, what's it like to be, the son of a 18-time champion? But we never saw it as that. He was dad, mom was mom, and very blessed to have them as our role models. And they made great decisions throughout their lives, and they've been a great, beacon of light for myself, my siblings, and even today, the grandchildren. They're amazing people. Just to think of one particular memory, I mean, I don't know. I don't know why getting swatted on the butt when I misbehaved was one of those memories, but it is. When we got out of line, we were corrected.
Yeah.
But no, I've got a lot of those memories. I've got a lot of fantastic memories of just doing things with mom and dad. Probably my favorite times are times when we went fishing, where we knew we had mom and dad to ourselves one-on-one. There weren't cell phones back then, but we didn't have any interruptions. So when we had them one-on-one, those were our special times.
Well, there's some cool pictures in the book in the middle of it too. And one of the pictures I saw was from 1984, which would probably put you in your early 20s. And it has a 624-pound bluefin tuna that you caught off the Cat Cays in the Bahamas. So I guess I wasn't planning on going there, but when you said fishing, it kind of rang a bell when I saw this picture. Can you tell this story? I mean, this is a picture. This fish that you caught is, it's like two times the size of you guys.
It's enormous. Like. That was 1984, and that was off of Cat Cay, Bahamas. And a certain time of year in the spring, when the wind blows out of the southwest, it blows these huge bluefin tuna that are migrating up onto the Bahama bank. So you can actually see them, and you troll your lure in front of them. And we were lucky to hook into one. We had no idea back then what we caught. I do remember the captain of the boat said, yeah, they're kind of good to eat. And I remember that he cut us a little piece that had a couple steaks out of the shoulder that we barbecued that night. And I know the captain sold that fish for a bunch of money. We didn't have any idea. But I've caught with that, just that one. And then I took my son up to Northeast Canada, and we released them all, but we caught 3 fish a day for 2 days. And wow. It's just, they are so strong, you can't even imagine. And they get up over 1,000 pounds, and they're beautiful creatures. They really are.
Yeah, the picture is pretty awesome, I guess, just to say, to look at. It's such a big fish. And I've caught some stripers and done some of these charter boat opportunities as well. And I'm not a big fisherman, but I had trouble with those. And those were maybe, 35 inches or something like that.
Oh, they're strong.
They're strong, but this thing is 624 pounds and tall, and I just can't imagine what an experience like that is like.
No, and it's fun, and the big thing that is, whether you're catching that 35-inch fish or a big fish or no fish at all, it's about being with dad, spending time, father son, and that's truly the memory is hugging dad, being shoulder to shoulder, trying to go after a common goal. That's pretty cool stuff.
It is. At what point did you recognize your dad was if you can think to a point that your dad was, not just starting to become a big deal, but he was kind of a big deal in the golf world? Was there a point when you were 6, 7, 8, or was it not till maybe a little bit older when you realized that even though he is still dad and mom is still mom, a lot of people know who my dad is?
Well, I think it's progress as anything. I have been told, you mentioned 6, 7, 8. When I was about 5 or 6, I was asked what my dad does for work. And my response was, oh, nothing. He just plays golf. So, we didn't, dad and mom, they never made a big deal out of it. Honestly, even through high school, I didn't understand it. And those were some of his best years of his career. Yeah. Ended up, I tried to play golf myself, and I would go to these amateur golf tournaments that, you may have heard of the U.S. Open and whatnot, but you haven't heard of the Northeast Amateur, the Son of Hannah, or the North and South Amateur. And it seemed like every amateur tournament I went to, there was Dad's name on the trophy from several years ago. I'm like, my goodness, Dad was unbelievable. He never talked about his accolades. And then, excuse me. And then, of course, I got a chance to caddy for him for the first time, in 1976 at the British Open.
Yes. And, is that the picture on the cover of the book? Is that what that's from?
Sorry about that.
No,
that was that's actually at the Masters in '86. But '76, I'm 24 years old, and man, it was an eye opener for me to be inside the ropes and caddy for Dad. And then fast forward it, in the '90s and 2000s, Dad would have the grandchildren come up and caddy for him in the par 3 event. And I remember my son, Jack, one of the first ones to do it. He's carrying his grandpa's bag. I want to say, I don't know, he's 13, 14. And he got on the first hole and he sees all these people around. And I was lucky enough to walk with him. He says, Dad, he says, I had no idea Grandpa was such a big deal. And he says, these people love him. I said, Jackie, that's what your grandpa doesn't tell you. He is a pretty big deal.
But that tells you something about the man he was, too, that he could have been. I mean, if there's ever a place to brag and kind of say you're a big deal, it's to your family, obviously, in behind closed doors. But the fact that even your son didn't have any idea, and he knew obviously that he was pretty good, but to not really understand how big of a deal or an icon that he was and is, that says something about him. Yeah,
he just that's not Dad's makeup. The firstborn grandchild, 1990, and Dad won his last major in '86. They never saw him certainly in that light. He was always just Grandpa.
Jack Nicklaus II, Jackie, is joining us here on Sports Spectrum, and the new book is called Best Seat in the House. You need to go check out that book. It's available now. 18 golden lessons from a father to his son. And you mentioned you dabbled in golf a little bit. You were pretty good yourself, and you went to college at UNC in Chapel Hill, a member of the UNC golf team. And I was looking at your age, and I was thinking about the years, and I was just doing some math here. You were at North Carolina when Michael Jordan was there. Am I right on that?
I was, yeah. MJ and I have kept in touch. He is an amazing, icon. He's a GOAT in basketball, like Pop is on the golf course. But
absolutely,
no, MJ, he's amazing. I remember I got to sit behind Coach Smith a couple of times, and that championship team had, MJ, it had Sam Perkins, it had James Worthy, it had Brad Doherty, Jimmy Braddock. They had just the most amazing team. It was so much fun to watch them in college. And then I got to play some golf with Michael recently. Actually, my son Charlie fishes with Michael. Michael's now doing some competition fishing tournaments down here, and my son Charlie gets to fish with him every once in a while.
Somebody told me we were in the Outer Banks last summer, and we were just, in this small town. I think it's Nag's Head. I'm sure you've heard of it or know where it is.
Sure.
We were down there, and we chartered a boat, and we were on this charter, and somebody said, hey, about a mile over there, Michael Jordan's over there. And I'm like, Michael Jordan, what's he doing? They said the same thing you did, that he's scratching an itch in competition, if you will, and he's out there doing these competitive, competitions and fishing. And I was like, that doesn't surprise. I mean, Jordan's not 60 yet, but he's getting close. I think he's in his late 50s. That doesn't surprise me that he'd still look for something else to try and.
You're right. It's about the competition, and I see my dad even today. It's fun watching. He played tennis for years after he stopped playing golf, and now to watch he and my mom. They'll go out on a flats boat to try to catch a bonefish, and they just. It's all a catch and release thing, but at the end of the day, they're talking about who caught the most fish, who caught the biggest fish, and it's really fun. It's about competition, and that has been my dad's mindset for really anything he's done. He works so hard, he puts the work in, he gets himself prepared, and then he has fun in the competition.
Absolutely. I want to ask you one more question that kind of came to my mind here, and because knowing who your dad is and the opportunities and working with him and being a part of some of the things that he's been a part of, obviously you've designed nearly 50 golf courses and are doing amazing things in that world with Nicklaus Design, but you've probably had some amazing experiences, and some you write about in your book, and interactions with some of the people because of the influence of your dad that I probably can't imagine, maybe even like as high as presidents and things like that. Is there one that you can share, maybe the coolest experience you've had in terms of rubbing elbows with some of the most famous people in the world? Is there one that stands out for you that you can share?
one, to address the working with Dad and the golf course design. That's been a thrill of my lifetime, to be able to share thoughts with Dad, doing a golf course. Back in the day, when I was first getting started, and we were asked, if you guys disagree, how do you guys work that out? I said, well, I'll express what I think should happen on a golf hole. Then Dad will express what he thinks should happen on a golf hole. Then we do what Dad wants to do. But then fast forward, we just did Muirfield Village. Well, Dad did Muirfield Village, the redo. We started that July 19th at an amazing quickness, seeded it all back together October 1st. But Dad let me be a huge part of that. And really, we shared a lot of thoughts. I do feel like I had a really good influence on the product that the guys are going to be playing first week of June coming up in the Memorial Tournament. Talk about, famous people that I've been able to rub shoulders with. I mean, gosh, I could go on and on.
Well, you said Michael Jordan. I mean, that's kind of
MJ's amazing. I actually met Michael when I was in school.
Yeah.
I remember, I'm forgetting wordy. I remember when I was a freshman at Carolina, I was thinking about maybe playing football and golf, and I was decided just to play golf. So my first week, I'm bench pressing my 90 pounds or whatever it was, and this big guy comes over top of me, and I look up. It's Lawrence Taylor. And
yes,
and that's who I was going to have to compete against. And he looked down at me. I'd not met him yet. He goes, "Little Nick, what are you doing this for?" And I put the weights up. I said, to get big and strong like you, LT. I said, "Nice to meet you." He goes, "I know who you are." And he goes on to say, "I don't do that stuff. I run sprints and, strength on my own." And he's been a friend for a lot of years. So that's a couple guys that I love being with and getting to know. But I have to say, some of the presidents that Dad's been able to play golf with and I've been able to meet through my dad. Dad played several rounds with, going back to the day with Gerald Ford, and as well with Bill Clinton. And just to be able to, I caddied in the group. I got to play a couple of times, and to hear Dad interact with those two presidents was unbelievable for me. That the presidents would actually listen to my dad, who I knew as just Dad. Of course, as a teenager, you don't think your dad knows anything, but that was one of those experiences where I realized that Dad's pretty cool. He's got the ear of a couple pretty powerful people.
Let's take a quick break from our conversation here on Sports Spectrum to tell you a little bit more about Fill the Stadium and our friends at Compassion International. Now, you know about Compassion. They are the most trusted child development ministry in the world. All that they do is about children and releasing them from poverty. They do it all in Jesus' name. And now we have this Fill the Stadium initiative that's been going on for more than a year now, and we're making such amazing progress trying to fill 70,000 empty seats with children who are in crisis. 70,000 kids were left without an opportunity for food and shelter and clothing and all the basic necessities that children should have. Normally, they would get sponsored in a regular year, but the pandemic wiped all of that out. And so now you can come alongside myself, our friends at Compassion, our pro athlete friends, and help fill the stadium and release kids from poverty. You can go to the website, fillthestadium.com, to donate right now, fillthestadium.com, and let's release these kids from poverty. Let's reach our goal of 70,000 filled seats. Go to fillthestadium.com. Yeah, the book is called The Best Seat in the House, and Jack Nicklaus II. Jackie is joining us here on Sports Spectrum. Let's talk about the book. It's called, like I said, 18 Golden Lessons from a Father to His Son, The Best Seat in the House. It released on May 18th. The perfect Father's Day gift, by the way. If you're listening to this, go to Amazon right now, get that book, give it to a father, a son, a grandpa, an uncle, whatever it is, especially if they love golf. This is a book you want to pick up. And one of the lessons I want to talk about is the importance of faith in your life. You talked about that here in this book and in your dad's life as well. You write, I began a relationship with Christ that changed everything for me from that day forward. And I'm not going to go into what you were talking about in that day, unless you want to, because we don't want to give it all away. But can you share a little bit about your journey of faith with the Lord and kind of the impact that your dad's faith made upon you, and then that decision that you had to make for yourself?
Well, absolutely. that's always a tough one for me to talk about because it's been so private. With the example that my mom and dad put forward to me, we went to Sunday school early on, and mom, mostly mom, introduced us to faith. Understand, dad is working on Sundays. His terms are Thursday through Sunday. So, for him, he felt like, what you felt in your heart wasn't how many times you went to church, but how you live your life. Mm-hmm. And, they were always very, very, very private. And again, we understood religion. It was in our family. We always, said grace at dinner every night, and expressed our gratitude for so many things. But it wasn't until I was in college that the FCA, Fellowship of Christian Athletes, Mike Exenkamper, he was introduced to me by the quarterback of UNC, Scott Stankavage. Yeah. And Mike and I, shared some lunches together and shared some golf experience together. And we were sitting in Carmichael Auditorium, the old basketball arena at Carolina. And, we talked about accepting Christ into your life. And that was the time that I did. And it did. It was like a huge weight was lifted off my shoulders, and it did positively change the direction of my life. I didn't take the onus for everything that might have gone bad in my life, and shared the credit for things that are good in my life. And again, let's fast forward a little bit. And I really didn't understand my dad's dedication and how often he prayed until I actually read it in an article. Read an article. He said, do you pray? And my dad's response was, yes, he prays every night. He prays to the Lord, and he also talks to his father, who he lost in 1970 at the age of 56, way too young, from pancreatic cancer. So again, that's something that dad kept very private. And I found out through a article that he had, an interview that he had done. And I asked him about it. He said, absolutely. He says, I talk to the Lord every night.
That's really great. Another area that you talk about is the idea of being caught than taught, and serving and giving back and being that example of living out that faith by serving others and giving back. Can you kind of expand a little bit on that and the impact your dad's giving and serving and just the charitable work that he's done and how that's affected you and impacted you?
Well, the example I see mom and dad every day, honestly, and I'm blessed that my children are seeing this, is the give back. Just recently, mom and dad were up at Grand Haven, Michigan for American Dunes. That was a project that he donated his time, his design fee, but his time more than anything, which is more valuable as you get older and you understand that. At 81 years old, dad goes up there and he opens up this golf course that he designed by former Lieutenant Colonel Dan Rooney. And it's for Folds of Honor. And it's all money's generated from greens fees and whatnot, and food and beverage up there goes back to families of our many fallen soldiers. So, so proud of dad for doing that. Another give back that I'm able to witness, I'm actually on the board with mom and dad on the Nicklaus Children's Healthcare Foundation. And you just have to, I would encourage anybody, and I'm happy to give them that tour, is just come down to the hospital and see the lives that are being touched. Children that would not be here had they not given another chance by such significant dollars and efforts and time and expertise of doctors that are donating their time to help these children. At the Memorial Tournament, we've been so closely connected with the Nationwide Children's Hospital up there. And one of my favorite visits every time I go up there for the tournament is to go into the NICU there at the hospital and see these little kids that there's no way they'd be here without, the assistance and help of everybody. So, that's what I see. The give back of mom and dad is just incredible. And then, you look at the life that mom and dad live, and I'll make it maybe more specific, and maybe his career that maybe people might be able to recognize that have watched. Dad's always been able to see truly from 30,000 feet. And where I would, get caught up in the weeds, certainly you take it was the Ryder Cup, called the Concession, where Tony Jacklin was the reigning Open champion. And it came down the last group at the Ryder Cup. All the teams were tied. And my dad had about an 18-foot putt to win for birdie on the last hole. He missed it and ran it about 5 feet by. Tony Jacklin had about a little shorter putt, and he ran it about 3 feet by. Dad had to make this putt to at least guarantee a tie. He makes his putt and immediately picked up Tony Jacklin's marker and said, "Great match. We're gonna accept a tie and move on." And Dad, again, I would have not had that greater vision to think, how important that putt was for Tony. But Dad, in all the stir and what was going on, he understood that Tony could only lose by hitting that putt and possibly missing it. And he didn't want to give Tony a chance to miss it. He said Tony probably would not have missed that putt, but he didn't want to give Tony a chance to miss it. And because here he's the national hero overseas, and he wanted him to remain that hero. And in the big picture, what difference does it make? They're going to tie the Ryder Cup, and the U.S. at the time was going to retain the cup. That's somebody that really is able to step back and see the bigger picture. And Dad's done that all of his life.
Yeah, that's a great lesson. And that's another example of having the best seat in the house, which the title, by the way, I don't know who came up with that. Maybe you can share a little bit, but that's an amazing title when you think about the life that you've gotten to live and having that best seat in the house to watch your dad do his thing.
Jason, it is. That title was inspired by the 1986 Masters, which many people can remember. Dad winning his 6th green jacket that Sunday afternoon at Augusta National. Most people, everyone watched it from outside the ropes on TV, and I always felt like as a caddy I had the best seat in the house. Mm. And so I took that and I said, you know what? I've not only had the best seat in the house to watch Dad that one Sunday at Augusta, but I've had the best seat in the house to watch an amazing life, an amazing career, an amazing man. And that was really my intent with the book, is to honor my father and, share some of the things that I felt like I learned growing up. If our readers can have benefit from this, fantastic. That's a bonus. But my intent was really to honor my father and honor a great life.
Well, you did a great job honoring your dad with this book, The Best Seat in the House. I want to ask you as we wind down, I thought it was really amazing at the end of the book that your children shared what you meant to them in their lives, much in the same way that you honored your father by writing this book. Describe that experience, reading those words from your kids, because as I'm reading it, I'm like, my goodness, I'd be bawling my eyes out reading like 5, paragraphs from 5 of my kids telling me about how great I am. Like that was pretty awesome.
Well, I do. I get emotional. I get emotional even talking about it, let alone reading it, like you mentioned. But
yeah.
Don and I were talking, and towards the end of the journey, he says, "Well, come on, you got to describe the relationship you share with your children."
Right.
And I started to give him a quick answer. I said, "You know what? No, Don, I need to go back home. I need to think about this a little bit, because this is the most important thing for me, is the relationship that I share with my children." And I said, you know what, rather than me trying to impose what I think my relationship is, I reached out to each of my 5 children and I said, look, if you could share some thoughts with me on what you think our relationship is and how you see our relationship. And I promise you, I was bawling reading those comments. And I was a little embarrassed, because a lot of them were so, complimentary of me. And, I've never been one to receive accolades. But to hear that from my children made the whole journey of what I've done, writing this book, raising these children, it substantiated, legitimized a lot of my efforts and what I feel and love about my children.
Well, it was the perfect conclusion, if you will, to the book. And people need to go get it and read it, and obviously read the book. And then on the back end, read about how Jack Nicklaus II's kids look at him as a dad. It's a pretty cool thing. As we wind down, the last question I want to ask you, Jackie, is it's Father's Day 2021 time. It's coming up in just a few days here. As you think about that day, what are you most grateful for from the Lord when you think about where he's taken you and brought you all these years to where you are today, and with the book and with your kids, like you described, and your family, a wonderful family? What are you most grateful for?
Well, you know what? You mentioned one of the two words that I would have said. The one word is family, and the other word that I would add is the love that we have in our family. There's no way to really verbalize it other than, it's something that we care so much about. Our family is everything, at least to the Nicklaus family. I hope if for everyone else, you keep family a priority. Mom and dad have taught us that. Hopefully I've passed those lessons on to my children, and family, and you got to include friends, because friends are an extended family. But when it comes right down to it, it's all about family and love, and that's what I'm most proud of.
Jack Nicklaus II, thank you, my friend, for being here on the show. You honored your father perfectly with this book. It's called Best Seat in the House. People need to go get it. 18 golden lessons from a father to his son. This is a treat talking to you, my friend. Thanks for joining us here on the show.
I really appreciate you having me, Jason. Thanks so much.
And a big thank you to Jack Nicklaus II for joining us here today on the show. Go get his book, Best Seat in the House. It's a perfect Father's Day gift, really a great gift for any time, and it's a great book, and he honors his dad in such a beautiful way. Jack Nicklaus II. Jackie was fantastic here on the show today, and we were grateful to have him share his story of sports, golf, faith, fatherhood, life, family, all of those great topics. I really enjoyed this conversation with Jackie, and you can tell his family is so tight-knit, and it's such a cool thing to see. As someone who grew up without really a dad in his life, and my father figure was really my grandfather, I just really appreciated the relationship that Jackie has with his dad, who's one of the all-time great golfers, 18-time major champion in the world of golf, Jack Nicklaus. And so that was really fun, and I'm glad we were able to have Jackie on the show, and many thanks to him for joining us here today on Sports Spectrum. Thank you as well for tuning in. Make sure you check out our website, sportspectrum.com, for all of our content. Sign up for our weekly newsletter. You can subscribe for the magazine there as well. And then whatever app you're listening to this podcast on, if you could do us a favor, click subscribe so you never miss an episode. And then please tell someone about Sports Spectrum, the intersection of sports and faith. We bring Jesus back into the conversation, and we try to do that in every single aspect of Sports Spectrum. And you helping us out by telling someone, it just hopefully shares the love of Christ with someone through this platform that we have as Sports Spectrum. And if you're looking for a way to maybe tell someone about Jesus and you're not quite sure how to start, maybe share this podcast or another podcast with them to let them know, hey, this is a cool interview we did, and they talk about sports and faith and life, and maybe that encourages them to draw closer to God. You never know. So we do appreciate you for joining us, for tuning in, for supporting us. We appreciate our sponsors, Compassion International, as well. You can check them out at fillthestadium.com. And then join us next time right here on Sports Spectrum. Have a great rest of your day.